The best I can say about my energy level for this episode is I'm wearing pants.
Okay.
And I can't say that about every episode we've ever recorded.
I did not know that.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick and Dal.
Every episode, I want to start with a, hey, welcome to Contest of Challengers, episode number 219. You know, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Dal.
And hopefully...
And we're on fire.
Literally?
Yeah, literally on fire. Like, that would be the announcement, is we're roasting in an oven.
In fact, no one will ever hear this because we're going to die.
My skin is in flames. No.
But I never remember what episode it is, as evidenced last week when we had to guess a couple numbers.
Sure.
This time I looked it up before recording.
I think we were within like 4 or 5 episodes.
We were within 5 episodes.
That's great.
I think I said 14 and it was 18.
That's awesome.
214.
I mean, if you're asked to guess a number between 1 and 300 and you can get within 5,
that's not bad.
I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's the outer ring around the bullseye, whatever that's called.
But still on the paper.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well within the target.
Yeah, like the dart is still sticking in the board. It's not bouncing off of the brick wall behind it.
It's not in someone's hand.
You mean like stuck in, or they haven't thrown it yet?
No, stuck in. Like you hit somebody else's hand on the outside.
And I always want us to do a recap at the end, which I think we've done maybe like 5 or 6 times, where at the end of the episode, I'll have taken notes and we'll say, in this episode we talk about blah, blah, blah.
Oh, sure.
But we never do it. And this time, I'm so tired. This week has kicked my ass.
Yeah, I think that's usually the culprit is not only our general lack of energy coming into this, but how less energy we have by the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the times by the end, we're ready to go.
Yeah,
we're ready to leave.
I mean, if you could make a supercut of the last 40 seconds of every single Contest of Challengers, it would sound like guys who just got out of a POW camp. Like, it would just... All right, is that it? Are we done? Yeah, I guess we're done.
The best I can say about my energy level for this episode is I'm wearing pants.
Okay.
And I can't say that about every episode we've ever recorded.
I did not know that.
Well, we don't face each other.
It's true. Plus, I'm not in some episodes, so that's
true.
I hope it's those episodes.
Yes, I actually dressed up for this occurrence. But yeah, I'm. This has been a.
You dress for the job you want, Patrick. I mean...
So, hobo is what we're going for.
I guess.
Under bridge dweller, so long as napping is involved.
I think indigent. I think we'll just say that.
This has been a very long week of, business / interviews and...
For you, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah, you could tell that I was in that... I don't want to say zone because that implies productivity, but in that area by the sheer number of links I was sending you earlier.
Yeah, no, I'd seen your name crop up in a few of those things I was reading about, and yeah, it was interesting reading.
One of those was a hey, do you want to see this before it goes out? And then I shared it with you without permission.
Oh, okay.
One of them, it's a pre-published.
I assume that would be the one you emailed me because otherwise you would just send me the link.
Yeah.
You would not usually send me the full body of an article.
Yeah. And it was without even being edited. And we'll get to that in a minute. So the first thing I did was Tuesday night I was back in WGN with James Van Osel.
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of a post-San Diego, hey, what are the big announcements that came out of it? And whenever I'm on WGN, depending on the time of day that it happens, there's a decreased level of specificity that I can get into. I can't go full nerd.
Sure. When you're in like a prime time or a daytime slot, you kind of have to presume like, all right, Spider-Man's the one with the webs on the outside and Superman's the one with the cape. It's that kind of audience. Later at night you can be like, well... Which version of Moon Knight are you talking about?
Yeah, later at night I can reference creators.
Sure.
But this was a 10 o'clock one, so it was still a little bit more movie and TV centric.
Of course.
But one of the great things about...
I didn't realize that the San Diego Comic-Con had things to talk about beyond movies and TV shows. It's not usually the popular opinion.
That's true. But one of the things I love about being at WGN is immediately after the segment is over, or not the segment, but that block. This was the 7 to 11 block.
Mm-hmm.
And
7 p.m. to 11 p.m.?
yes, that is correct. So when the on-air talent leaves to go home, like my job is done, the producer then gets out of the booth, goes into the editing bay, and breaks up all the different segments, because they try to do...
Like for archiving? Or for the website?
For immediate podcasting.
Oh, that's cool.
For immediate, like, they put it up as podcast segments.
Chunks?
Yeah. On the...
So you wouldn't download a 3-hour James Van Alstel block? You would download a series of segments from his?
Yes. And you can't download. You can only stream.
Oh, you stream. Okay.
Yeah. The neat thing is, though, if you go to WGN, you search my name, like, it pulls up all of the segments I've been on.
Cool.
And I've got a pretty great archive going.
Nice. Do you have a picture on the website yet?
Well, each individual block has a photo representative to it.
No, I mean like...
I know, an employee photo. I know what you mean.
like in the DJ section.
But like this time...
On-air talent, Patrick Brower.
Now they specifically have a WGN backdrop, and James takes during the commercial break, he takes a picture, the producer takes a picture with James and the guest.
Oh, cool.
And that's the link headline. One time it was just the Challengers Best in the World hand holding the Phantom Stranger comic graphic that we have. That was the whole the link.
Neat.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of fun. And as you know, James Van Alstel is a lifelong comics fan.
Yes.
And he does a good job of bridging the super specific nerd elements that I bring up and reining it back into a general audience.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting to me because I don't know how viable talk radio is today.
Okay.
I don't listen to it.
Uh-huh.
You don't listen to it.
No.
I mean, you listen to a few podcasts, I listen to a few podcasts, but those are downloadable and listened to on your own. And when I'm...
Yeah. I mean, I would say I listened to a couple podcasts, and this is one of them. Yeah.
It doesn't count while you're listening to it.
Oh, then one. I listen to one podcast.
But when I'm at home, I'm listening to my iTunes.
Uh-huh.
And when I'm in the car, I'm listening to either XM or my iPod. And if it's XM, it's none of the talk stations. It's always like Hair Nation.
Sure.
With Dal's favorite, Reverend Luke Carl.
Reverend Luke Carl.
Or the 70s or 80s or 50s channels, what have you. But whenever I'm on, and I'll do a quick couple of Facebook and Twitter posts like, hey, I'm going to be on or whatever. It's usually friends of my sister Susan who contact her to say, hey, I heard your brother on the radio again.
Okay.
Like, these are people that listen to it regularly. And this is like, I am never on at a specific time. I am on anywhere from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m.
How old would you say your sister's group of friends are? Like
50.
So white people in their 50s is kind of like, that is
middle class.
The entire audience. Suburban, middle class white people from 50 to 59, kind of in there. That is the talk radio audience.
I guess.
So I guess maybe, just talk about, I don't know, Silver and Bronze Age stuff. I mean, I think that's what you know. I guess you can talk about Adam Warlock. People would care about Adam Warlock.
But after it was said and done, there was links up to it, and several people said some very nice things about it. Even like people that I don't really have any actual contact with other than social media.
Okay.
Would listen to it and thought it was good. And nothing was groundbreaking. Nothing was, and honestly, a lot of things are.
I mean, good radio doesn't have to be groundbreaking.
No.
It can just be entertaining. You know.
And even though like it's such a PC version of what we do in the store because, well, it's actually identical to that in regards to, let's say he brought up the Batman vs. Superman trailer.
Sure.
And I can talk about it for, that couple of minutes, never giving an opinion.
No.
Never saying, I think it's going to be terrible, or I'm gonna love it. Just talking about it.
Sure.
Or the Suicide Squad trailer. Like, I can talk about specific elements, but I don't tell you what I think about those elements.
No.
And I think that's why it works well, because it's never mean, because it would be.
Yes.
But, yeah, so I feel like most people then think that I'm sharing their opinion when, in fact, I'm not giving an opinion.
Yeah, I'd say in general, when I talk about media stuff with customers I don't have a long relationship with, I usually kind of let them take the lead on if something's good or bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I can play devil's advocate with stuff. I can look at it from another point of view. But if someone's like, oh, I'm super excited about Suicide Squad, I'll go, yeah, there was some fun stuff in that trailer. Man, like, Will Smith makes a pretty good Deadshot. Like, I don't have to bring up, like, I didn't care for the song in the background, or why were there so many cuts in every single shot? Like,
did McG direct this?
Because someone's excited about something.
People don't want to hear that.
And then it's you saying, yeah, I disagree, and here's why. Like, if
you're dumb to like this.
If I know somebody, if I've been working as a retailer with certain customers for years, you develop a kind of rapport where you can say, look, you know, I can tell you what I really think without me worrying that you're not going to shop here anymore.
Yeah.
Which is what it comes down to.
And at that point, that person wants to know what you think.
You don't want to chase people out the door by saying, the thing that you're excited about, not only am I not excited, I'm judging you for liking it. Like, that's a great way to get someone to not want to shop at your store ever again.
Yep.
So you kind of, like you said, rein it in a bit. Like, you don't say everything you think.
I don't want to give the wrong impression. People, if you shop with us, we absolutely judge you, and harshly, just not to your face.
Oh my goodness. I didn't realize I was supposed to be doing that.
Oh, come on. You are doing it.
Disagree.
Disagree to your disagreement. And then Wednesday night, I did a Skype interview with a guy named David Harper, who used to be with Multiversity.com, but now he branched off on his own to Sketched.com, but that is sketched without the E's, so it's SKCHD. Wait, I forgot the T.
Yeah, SKTCHD.com.
And David has been doing this comics journalism for a while now, and he's really good at facts and figures and number crunching, and we had a great time. This is the first time we ever talked, because he lives in Anchorage, Alaska. Mm-hmm. It's the first time we ever actually talked, as opposed to emailed or social media, whatnot. And while it was a fun interview, it was a lot of, so how did Challenger start kind of thing. So it was like, I fell into a lot of the old standby tropes.
A few times.
Yeah, and even as they're coming out of my mouth, I'm like, man, these are so practiced and so rehearsed.
Sure.
Not practiced, but just so well told, so well worn that it's just autopilot to say those things. Uh-huh. But what we were referring to a little bit earlier was he had just done a retailer survey about the state of the industry, where he asked some pretty specific questions and gave a lot of multiple choice type of answers, and he put it all together in a piece with a lot of graphs.
Yeah, I'd seen some of his stuff before, and he uses some graphs that I think are really interesting, and some graphs where I'm just like, I don't know if this is the best way to relay this information. There's a lot of, like, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate whatever, and then he kind of averages that out, so you start to see these bar graphs where it's like, I don't know what this means.
Well, he does a good job of explaining it.
He does, but when there are definitely a few graphs and charts that when you look at them, you're like, I have no idea what information this is supposed to impart. And then you read a few paragraphs and you're like, oh, I get it now. But a good graph or chart should be pretty self-explanatory. You know, it's got an x-axis and a y-axis, and it tells you what these numbers mean. Or it's a pie chart, and these colors equate to this thing, and the percentages of this whole. Pretty basic stuff, but there's a few, again, bar graphs where I just...
To his credit, I had given him a little bit of critique on some of the graph ideas, and he immediately implemented them and sent them back to me. Mm-hmm. And even if he doesn't use them, I'm like, hey, well, thanks for humoring me.
Yeah, specifically there was one where it was like, how would you rate, like, I think Diamond's performance? It was on a scale of 1 to 5. And it was like a bar that went to 3.5, and it's like, I would rather have you say... this percentage said 5, this percentage said 1, and then from there, like, that's more interesting to me than just...
here's the overall.
Average, people said 3.5. Like, okay, that could be more interesting of a number.
I did like how he broke it down in the paragraphs underneath for a little bit more detail, and I think he did a good job of trying to quote everybody at least once in some section.
Yeah, that's good.
And knowing that he contacted 75 retailers, but only 25 responded.
That's why you contact 75, though, you know?
But in the body of his piece, and I don't know when that goes up, but it should be in the next week or so, because he's like, I haven't edited it yet, but it was pretty well written and pretty, like, I was even looking for errors and didn't really find anything.
Yeah.
But he linked to a lot of other pieces that I hadn't read before. Specifically, there's a store, and I honestly don't remember where they are, Phantom.
They're in Washington, D.C.
Phantom Comics in Washington, D.C. published a very...
That's Phantom Comics. Phantom.
A very, very detailed breakdown of their sales.
Yeah, back in May of this year, they published their 2014 recap. One of the little things that was interesting to me was that their number one graphic novel for the year was Saga. And they're a story that in a lot of ways is very similar to our story as far as clientele and what books are popular and what publishers do well and what mix of their business is graphic novels versus comics and subscribers versus walk-in. The thing that was so weird to me was that Saga was their number one book for the year, but they're in their top 10 comics for the year. No issues of Saga made the list. And I thought, that is crazy to me, because and we've said it so many times, our number one book nearly every month is Saga. Rack sales and subscriber numbers, it's just the biggest...
Barring things like the Challengers exclusive Invincible Iron Man #1 cover that we'll be doing.
Of course.
That's not a real thing, people. Sorry.
As far as I know, it's not a real thing.
You know, they announced it, and it had the... If you're interested, email this person, and whenever they do that, that means it's ridiculous. If it was a simple... Here it is. They would put... this is an email that goes to retailers. Give us the information.
No, because it's not. Once they got outside of Amazing Spider-Man 666 and started doing things, prior to Star Wars, they were doing stuff. The numbers got insane. They stopped being 500 copies and started being in the thousands.
Right, but why don't they just give us that information in the email?
Because everything's a negotiation, Patrick. If they just told you the number, you would know it. Well, I think we can do... And then you're bargaining and then you're negotiating, and I hate that.
The thing that I found interesting most about Phantom Comics is how well DC does for them still.
Yeah, that was interesting.
DC was very high for them, both graphic novels and single issues.
Probably a lot of hometown pride.
Nice.
It's terrible.
Nice crossover.
That was a reference to the fact that the Washington Nationals play there, and obviously DC Comics was national publications. Why? What were you thinking of?
The fact that it was... I got nothing. I got nothing. I know where to go with that.
I think I already went too deep with Washington Nationals.
I was trying to stall, then I don't have the energy to do it. So at a certain point today was a weird rainstorm, and it's very, very muggy and hot outside. And the previous day I worked, it was in the mid-80s in the store, because it's just so freaking hot.
Because it is July.
Yeah. And... Today it was comfortable in the store all day, but there was a certain point where I wanted it. How is it outside? So I opened the door, and it just hit with this blast of humid air. But right at the exact same time, club member Marjorie Bingham and her two sons come walking up, and her son Logan has this box in his hand. And hold on.
Okay.
I'll show it to you.
You said box like you're presenting it to me.
But I didn't present it to you yet.
I'm trying to read the label.
And he's got it, and I'm holding the door open, and he's got it, he comes right up, and he's like, and he's holding it up. And Margie says, tell him that you picked those out. He's like, this is for you. I picked it out. And she's like, he picked everything out in there. He goes, yeah, I brought it today for you. And he looked in the store, and he was about to say, and Dal... But Dal's not there.
Uh-oh.
He sees Ashley, and his face his eyes get wide, and he doesn't know what to do.
I guess he's got to come back later.
And I finish the sentence, I say, I'm sorry, Dal's not in today, but it's Ashley instead. So he just kind of hands me the box.
Wow.
I'm like, no, take it in. So he takes it in.
I think that's the only person at Challengers who's ever been disappointed they got Ashley instead of Dal. He's the only one.
And so he walks to the counter. Ashley's like, oh, what do you have there? And he just puts the box on the counter and walks away. Now you can open the box.
Second place Ashley, that's what she is. Sweet Mandy Bees. Old-fashioned desserts. Oof.
It is a box full of baked goods. Specifically, that right there is for you.
This one?
Yeah.
It's wrapped? Because it's a s'more?
It's two s'mores.
It's one... No.
Is it just one?
Well, for someone else, it might be two.
I thought it was two individual pieces. I apologize.
Oh, no. This is a king-size s'more, and I will eat it as a single s'more.
The fun thing about this box is that it's like a brownie.
This kid, I gotta say, this kid killed it, because there's nothing in this box I wouldn't eat.
The things you wouldn't eat are gone already.
I'm still going to give this kid credit.
That's fine. Ashley had a watermelon cookie. A cookie in the shape of watermelon. I had a cupcake, which was a ginger carrot cake with a mocha frosting.
Ooh, nice.
Which is a lot of weird things together.
Sure. Did it work well? Was it a good flavor profile?
Yeah. And there's also this M&M cookie. Ashley took a chunk out of at the bottom.
Oh, man.
Because she couldn't decide which cookie she wanted.
Suspended.
The irony was Ashley brought her own Rice Krispie treats in today, and there's a giant Rice Krispie treat in here.
I guess that's why I got left over.
Marjorie.
So thank you, Logan and Marjorie.
And of course, Malcolm and Keith.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I don't know if Keith gets any credit for that because he wasn't there. But you know how I often mess up their kids' names?
Yes.
I did it again.
Did you?
Only insofar as it was specifically pointed out to me that Logan had picked them out.
Mm-hmm.
So after we look at the box because they had gone to each had gone to a different side of the store.
Sure.
So I look in the box and I go, "Oh man, Mal, you did so great! Good job, buddy." And then I'm like, "Oh, that's the wrong one." Logan, great work, pal, because he was the one in Sidekicks. But luckily, I didn't say his name, so he wasn't paying attention. And in fact, Marjorie had to say, "Logan, he's talking to you," and he came out. He's like, "Welcome," and went and ran back into Sidekicks.
Nice.
So she knew that I messed up, but they didn't, and that's the important thing. So thanks very much, everybody, and I guess I'll do more talking now because Dal's mouth is full of s'more.
I can talk and eat.
Gotta put this down somewhere.
I'm not above it.
And that was a lovely surprise for the day.
Yeah, I would say so.
Today was super weird because for the first half of the day, we were dead. So dead.
Looking at the charge totals, when 1 o'clock hit, it's like it blew up. For at least the first 2 hours, I'm like, Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
And then 1 o'clock, it's like, oh my God, are they going to stop bringing people up soon?
Well, the funny part was Samantha and John came in with Samantha's younger sister who needed to interview me for a school project she's doing.
Uh-huh.
So as soon as that started, line of people, nonstop, and it was there's a lot of questions, and I feel a little bit bad because she was audio recording it.
Sure.
So I'm in mid-answer and be like, "Hey, Jason, how's it going? Let me get your books." Mm-hmm. So she's going to have to sift through all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But after a while, it was...
that'll be a good education for her.
That's right.
Is editing a review for publication.
Well, she was doing it the smart way. She was taking handwritten notes as well as recording the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So emphasizing what stood out to her and...
So she can edit out all the parts where I say something horrible that you don't want on the podcast.
I know. This is how I know you never go back and listen because I cut you out all the time.
Okay.
I want to do that one time. I want to just cut one of us out and see what it's like. But that's too much extra work.
How insane it sounds.
There's so much. Because all right, so I have to finish the order pack.
Release them? You should release one episode as the Patrick version and the Dal version, and you have to play both of them simultaneously to get the full effect.
Okay, so what you want me to do is then take let's say I'm editing you out, take the segment in which you're talking, but fill it with dead air. So I have to leave the same amount of time.
Or just take if you're editing you out of a version, just drop all of your stuff really quiet. So you don't have to literally cut it out, but just drop it to a volume level that no one would ever hear it.
That's more work than just dropping it out.
Okay.
Then
do that.
Dal had said a lot more right there. Just cut it all out.
Dal had something incredibly insightful and trenchant to say, and I cut it all out.
That's how this works. So order pack is due. I have to finish that.
I know.
How's
it going?
Good. I did Dark Horse, Marvel, the back half of DC, meaning Vertigo and their kids' books and their trades.
Uh-huh.
And right before this, I did Image and IDW. So I still have, I hope to get through DC tonight. Uh-huh. And now that I took a break from it, I'm paranoid because I don't want anything to happen. So I'm constantly backing it up because we back up off-site.
Yeah.
So if anything happens to that machine, which was freaking out today and crashing whenever we tried to load a club member's books.
It's not good.
And then at the point when it would come back, it wouldn't do receipts for anything. Mm. And, then you risk the can I restart it now? No, because that's when everyone wants to come up.
Right.
And little things like, hold on, let me just try to reprint a receipt, which of course is a gift receipt, and then that locks it all up. So the young woman who wants to buy the stack of Avatar books, we have to wait just because the receipt function is locked up, not even the whole register part. I don't get it. I don't like it. Here's the thing I wanted to bring up that I don't even know if we talked about this or not, about how, no, we didn't. Diamond has made a very specific organizational change, personnel change within their industry, within their corporation. And one of the people that, basically the Bob Wayne for Diamond, Cindy Fournier has left Diamond Comics due to a difference of opinion. But what was it, like it was phrased different, it
was like the business version of creative differences.
Yeah. Like
philosophical differences.
Exactly, it was philosophical differences.
But yeah, I mean, it was one of the few press releases where I feel like whoever wrote the press release was trying hard to find synonyms for acrimoniously.
Yeah.
Like, it was so clear that she wanted to leave, and they kind of wouldn't let her yet. So she had to hang around a place that she doesn't like anymore and doesn't feel God knows what. I mean, anything from respected to appreciated to valued to whatever. Like,
my take on it was that basically they came to an impasse where she's saying, you should do this, and they're saying, no, we're not going to. And she's like, all right, I'm going to leave. And they're like, okay, don't leave yet because nobody can do your job yet.
Yeah.
So
the people we would replace you with can't do your job as well as you.
So she's on board in an advisory capacity for a while as her replacement gets up to speed.
Right.
That pause was for the crinkly paper.
Okay.
And then one of the first things they did was announce a new 70,000 square foot warehouse addition to help Olive Branch, which is where our books are processed from, process weekly orders, and it's going to be so much better. And they had quotes from the replacement,
right,
when in fact this deal was in the works well before he was in that position.
Yeah, this was not a thing you'd put together in like 5 days.
But I like how they're trying to say, look what this guy's doing for you already.
Uh-huh.
But love her or hate her, Cindy was the person where if something was going wrong and Diamond couldn't get it fixed for you, when you get fed up, you talk to her. Like Cindy's not a person that retailers talk to day to day. She's higher up. But when you have you go to Erica Beck or you go to Cindy Fournier.
Yeah, I mean, Cindy was in charge of I want to say operations.
Yeah.
So it was basic things of like, how do we get our stuff in a Diamond warehouse to your store? In fact, I want to say one of the things that the Diamond did for a long time was that at the various retailer summits when they would do
auctions,
one of the things you could win in an auction was Cindy comes to your store for a day and basically sees how you unpack, sees how you sell books, sees how you receive orders.
It's specifically a day in which you're unpacking your weekly shipment, so she sees how it comes in.
Yeah, she gets to experience as a retailer what it's like when a Diamond order comes in and how it's dealt with. So instead of just seeing, charts and figures and databases, she's actually able to see what we as retailers see, which is what's working and what's not working and what could be improved. And that sort of commitment to understanding the customer side of the equation was always incredibly helpful, and something that even if we didn't directly feel an impact from that, like, it was always appreciated as a concept.
But with Bob Wayne leaving DC and Cindy leaving Diamond, and both people choosing to leave,
yeah,
there have been a lot of specific...
Well, I feel like the Bob Wayne side of it was, I would say, less combative, it sounds like. I mean, not that Bob Wayne wouldn't have stuck around longer, but when DC was moving from New York to LA, he thought, like, I can be done now.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Cindy's been with Diamond, I don't know if quite as long as Bob Wayne was, but definitely for a long time.
For a long time. Actually, I want to say she and Bob may have started roughly around the same time.
I want to say her start was early 90s at Diamond. I thought it was like 93 or something, maybe.
I want to say she started a little earlier.
Okay.
She's got me beat.
Okay.
I'm 25 years next month.
Uh-huh.
She was longer than that.
Okay.
And
so late 80s, maybe.
Yeah, and I want to say that because Bob Wayne owned a store before he went to DC, and I want to say that I can't remember how long he'd been at DC, but I want to say he also started at DC right when I started in retail.
Okay. So anyway, both of them had been in the industry on a non-retail side for a very long time.
And we talked about, I'm pretty sure we did talk about this, where some of the DC immediate changes where there's no immediate returnability for creator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
Yeah.
But there's one that...
There's a real quick segue. Brian Hibbs wrote up a thing about that on Comic Book Resources. And he really took it as a, like, this is how little DC cares about us. Like, they used to hold themselves to a higher standard.
Let me had said one more sentence. No, it's too late, because I was getting to that.
Okay.
But go ahead, you brought it up.
Oh, I just thought...
I was leading to that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't think that was as big a deal as he was making it out to be.
But the thing that I didn't notice or realize that they were doing was that DC has changed graphic novel release dates, and I don't know if this is going to be a company-wide policy or if they're just doing it if they're doing specific books. But like for Sandman Overture, its release date is specified as a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And one of the DC Injustice books had already been listed as a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So that's when their on sale dates are, but I'm curious to see if Diamond System is set up to let us start selling that on that Tuesday. Like when we log our invoice in, because when we log our invoice in on Tuesday afternoons, we physically can't ring up the new product. You go to scan one of the new books, and it'll say, you can't sell this yet.
Yes and no. That is how it's set up. It's very easy to change that.
Okay. But it's a implemented stopgap, so we don't try to.
Correct. Yeah, I mean it's mostly so that if we had a lot of people working at the store and they didn't know what was and wasn't available for purchase, that if they tried to scan something that wasn't meant to be sold to a customer, there'd be a warning on the screen saying, "Hey, you can't sell this to somebody yet today."
What I like about that feature is for when club members come in on a Tuesday, it doesn't, and we've imported the invoice and done the polls. It doesn't put in the next day's books into the list.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if that feature will still be in place for the Tuesday release books.
If it's not, I mean, I could turn it off in about 2 seconds. And it would be just for that one item.
That was my next question.
Yep. It's not like a global thing that you turn on and off. It's an individual thing on every single item that basically says, this is the date that you can start selling these books, which would be basically like 12:01. That flag would be gone. It wouldn't be like 10 in the morning or whatever when we open.
And it's just for books and graphic novels. It's never for action figures because most people get those from different sources.
I don't know if that's true. I feel like some pop vinyls have been kicked back for me when I check prices on them.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And maybe some DC Direct figures, but I'm not entirely sure. So, I mean, it can be for literally anything because it's just something in Store Operations Manager where when you go to the item detail, one of the things is, when is this on sale?
Now, Brian Hibbs also thought that was a huge deal and that's going to be cutting into business for the people that can't wait. But specifically it means that Amazon can start shipping out Tuesday morning.
Which somebody on the Comic Book Resources comment thread had a good point, which is that Amazon can do that for everything because Amazon is a distributor. Amazon has that stuff when Diamond has it. Amazon has it when Baker and Taylor has it.
Yeah.
They're getting it directly from the publisher. They're not getting it when we get it. They're getting it a week, 3 weeks, a month before. So there's almost nothing already stopping Amazon from doing that, which is why, depending, like for some video games, you can be guaranteed by Amazon that you will have it on release day. And that could mean they're shipping it 4 or 5 days before you're going to have it in hand, depending on how you want it shipped out, at what speed. So that is already a thing that they could be doing. And much like Brian Hibbs is super upset that the returnability has become a different thing because of FOCs, which is like, it was already everyone's rules, so I don't really care.
It was neat to see, or not neat, but eye-opening or whatever, to see him say that the number of retailers that actually use FOCs is a vast minority.
Right, and that's, not to get off topic here, but seeing that, like the justification for, well, DC should still keep taking returns because most people don't use this tool that would make them order correctly. then they should start using that tool.
Yeah, that's not DC's fault.
Like, you've been offered a free tool from your distributor that lets you change your orders to match what you think you can sell for a whole bunch of publishers. And that's whether the content's changed or not. That's even if you're just selling more or less, you can change that number with no penalty. The fact that retailers can't be bothered to use that, why would DC hold themselves to that standard if, when offered the chance to change things, retailers went, not worth my time? Well, then guess what? You're going to get stuck with it. The graphic novel thing, I can sort of see his point in a, purely theoretical level. It's a little bit shitty that sometimes we're going to have books that are Amazon's been sending out to customers 6 days before we've been able to put them out on the rack and sell them. That's not great. But looking at Challengers as a business, there's like 10 books a year that I think that ever actually matters.
And one of the books that he was referencing was Sandman Overture, the hardcover. Honestly, the people that I think that are excited to get that will either A, pre-order it from us in a perfect world, or B, know we're going to have it. It's not a question of I can get it like a half day faster from Amazon.
Yeah, and
they get the comic from the comic store.
And especially in that case, DC is giving us the option of matching that on sale date.
That's true.
If it's Tuesday, you can sell it on Tuesday. Like we had allowances from Oni when Scott Pilgrim 6 came out, knowing that booksellers across the country were going to be selling it on Tuesday. They said, you guys can sell it on Tuesday too. That's fine.
Yeah.
They allowed us to be competitive. It wasn't a big deal. But again, that's like a few books a year. Does it matter for Aquaman Volume 6? No. Who cares? It doesn't matter for most like Marvel, DC superhero graphic novels. It matters for a Raina Telgemeier book. It matters for a Brian Lee O'Malley book. It'll matter for something like Private Eye. It's not going to matter for All New X-Men Volume 5 softcover. It just doesn't. Like, I can't imagine what stores losing business out of that. And if they are, I feel really bad for them. But for my business, it's not going to make a difference for the 1 or 2 copies of that book we're going to sell the week of release. If
you're a comic store located right next to Barnes & Noble, maybe that'll be a factor.
Sure, I guess. And yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible. But again, I think we're arguing a lot of theoreticals here rather than, for my business, I don't care. It's not a big deal. Those few instances when it is, I mean, if I'm convinced that I will not have those copies of the book I need the Tuesday it comes out, I order from a distributor that can guarantee me I'll have them on the Tuesday that they come out and that I can sell them that Tuesday. We've had to do that a few times with books that are a big deal in the world, but not in a way that Diamond cares about. So we go through somebody else that can make that a priority. It's fine.
I do feel that overall in these situations, what you and I tend to do is we react to how we can make it work for us when theoretically we're part of an organization that bands together to figure out how to fix this globally. But for us, like, it's the opposite of the retailers that say, this doesn't work for me, I need it fixed. Like, you guys have to fix this for everyone because I need it fixed for me.
Yeah.
We just say, this doesn't work for us. We find a way that it works for us, and we don't worry about everybody else, per se.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like, and this is not one of those times where we pick up the torches and join the crowd, but I feel like there are certain instances where there are subject matter like that would come up, that it would benefit everybody if it changed, and we don't join the rally.
Yeah, to paraphrase Nick Fury, we take the world as it is, not as we'd like it to be. You know?
Yeah.
So, DC changes their terms, or they shift something slightly. It's not the end of the world. We'll find a way to make it work. It's okay. I can see their point of view. It's not the end of the world. Like, if they got rid of final order cutoffs, that would be a whole different situation. That would directly and negatively impact my business. Like, that would affect my day-to-day life in a really, really horrible way. But if it's just, you're going to get these superhero graphic novels maybe the week it comes out from bookstores and Amazon, or maybe not, I don't know, whatever, it's fine.
When final order cutoffs were first announced, it was such a foreign concept for a lot of people, but then it was such a revolutionary idea, and little by little, and Diamond has gone out of their way to get more publishers on board. Like, they're actively saying, you should let retailers adjust the orders on this.
Sure. There's very few comics publishers that we order heavily from that are not participating in the final order cutoff program.
But don't you feel that every time the industry comes up with a specific benefit, somehow it adjusts itself so its impact isn't nearly as grand as it is? For example, with the final order cutoffs, now that we can order 3 weeks out, most of our club members don't give us orders until a week out.
Right, that's true.
And it's not like there's not a specific event or an occurrence or a change that was made. It's just the general malaise of being a subscriber has shifted to like the excitement or the knowledge base. And I don't know if it's because of promotional cycles between creators and publishers or whatever, but a couple years ago, changing your orders 3 weeks out was amazing. Now, it's still too late. And there's no way that number shrinks because this is when it goes to printing. So, there's physically no extra time. But I just love how, this is so great. Oh, it's not nearly as great as it could be.
No, it's true, but that's never going to happen.
The industry self-corrects, but negatively.
Yeah, I still think it's a much better situation than it would have been before FOC.
Hands down.
That was...
FOCs has saved us a lot. For example, hopefully you're going to catch... I noticed a book, I don't remember what title it was, but...
That's not helpful.
Right?
There's a thing that you need to change, but I don't remember which one.
Oh, you'll know it when you see it. Because instead of typing 22, I typed 222.
Ooh, what?
But I only noticed this last night when it was a last month's order pack.
Oh, okay.
And usually Diamond will catch that and call us, but that's not a big enough, an extra 200 copies is not a big enough oversight for them to intervene.
Okay.
But literally it was yesterday. It's a Marvel book.
Okay, my next question was going to be: are you sure it's a premier publisher that we can do FOCs on?
Yes, I did. It was a Marvel book, and it was something.
Man, if it's like Action Lab, no.
It's a Secret Wars tie-in. It's a Marvel book. As I was going to type 22 because I was getting the same number.
Right.
22. I looked at it, I'm like, oh. No, it's a number 4. It's a number 4 of a book. Number 4 is 200 extra copies. That'll have to get changed.
We'll see. Maybe we'll move that extra 200 copies.
Maybe.
Sure.
Probably not.
No. People, we're not going to have a huge upswing in Squadron Sinister numbers.
I don't know. We had somebody add it to their list.
I think it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting to see how one of David Harper's graphs was drop-offs between issues, in numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and it's a 45-degree angle down to number 4, then a 90-degree line across to number 5, and then back to that 45-degree angle.
Yeah, it's pretty steady.
And definitely our Secret Wars crossovers are kind of following that same
It's
path.
finding its level. There was a lot of early adoption.
Yeah.
The first couple weeks people were really into the idea, but now that we're into month 2 or 3, people have reached their, I think month 3. July's month 3. People have figured out what they like or dislike, or they've tried as many titles as they want to try.
Yeah.
They're not as into sampling. But that said, Civil War did really well for us.
Yeah, we're out of it.
I enjoyed Siege. I don't know if people are trying that out. I thought maybe more people would give that a look, but maybe not. I thought that was pretty solid.
I don't know if this helps you, bothers you, or neither, but specifically after the carnage of a day like today where it got crazy for a while.
Carnage?
Whenever the shelf carnage, meaning things get messed up and moved around, and whenever there's...
I thought maybe a car crashed into the store and murdered a bunch of people.
I think I would have told you if that happened.
I feel like you'd be bearing the lead if 44 minutes into an episode of Contest of Challengers you went, oh, by the way, the car, when you go in tomorrow, you'll notice most of the front of the building is gone and there's a bunch of torsos lying around.
But hey, that s'more was pretty good, right?
It was. I'm glad that happened before the car totaled the store and killed a bunch of people.
I didn't tell you. That's why I had gone outside, what was that horrible crash? And Marjorie and the boys were climbing over these overturned cars.
Sure. Well, it's very important that we get that s'more.
When I'm straightening the shelves, and there's gaps, for example, if we sell out of Red Hood number 1, but Red Hood number 2 is out.
Right.
and we had 2 spaces for Red Hood,
Yes.
I will either condense it or give Red Hood number 2 spaces.
Sure.
So there's not just empty rack.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a thing that you don't notice books were out of as quickly when you do the reorder.
I'll notice.
Or
The deciding factor is less how things have been arranged on the rack, more than how quickly I'm doing it, and if I'm being distracted while I'm doing it. Like, I will do the comic reorder pretty much last thing on Sunday because a lot of stuff will sell during the day.
You want to get accurate numbers, sure.
So if I'm doing that and I'm kind of under the gun to get it finished by 5, or there's a bunch of people in the store, or I'm answering questions, I might breeze through and just kind of look for empty spaces.
Yeah.
But if I've got a few extra minutes to do it, I'll kind of walk the rack a little slower and really kind of look at each shelf and see, okay, what do we not have that we might need?
We're out of Godzilla in Hell.
Wow, okay.
We're out of Island.
That doesn't surprise me. We when I was in on Thursday, we were down to like 2 copies.
Yep.
So I figured by Sunday at the latest, we'd be out of it.
That was kind of an interesting book to sell out of because it was an $8 book.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of people that were excited for it, that you like, do you read multiple Warheads? You know, it's that like, there's a...
Yeah, I mean, somebody on Wednesday was going to grab it because they were really excited about it. And they're like, hey, Brandon Graham's got something in there. He's the guy who does King City. I'm like, yeah, and Multiple Warheads, which is what this is. Did you read the collection? No? Okay, this isn't going to make a lot of sense to you then.
Go for it, though.
Uh-huh.
Enjoy.
There's other stuff in there, but
Enjoy.
Yeah, man. Maybe save $8 and spend it on the Multiple Warheads collection.
For everybody who came in and was picking up Godzilla in Hell, I would say, hey, you get this because you love Godzilla or because you're big fans of a big fan of James Ticko? And if they say, I just love Godzilla, great. If you're getting for James Ticko, just so you know, he doesn't do issues.
I didn't read it. Does it in the back? Does it say anything about?
We don't have one for me to look at. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if you read it before now. I would assume that they would have something in the back saying when issue 2 is coming out and who's working on it and what date it's releasing and all that kind of stuff.
There was, and we don't stock Godzilla comics for the shelf normally. Like, Godzilla have the, I can't remember, what's the current series that they're wrapping up on?
Godzilla...
Monster of the World or
History's
something.
Greatest Monster or something.
Something like that. Donovan's comic. We haven't stocked Godzilla comics for the rack since the last James Ticko Half Century War.
Yeah.
So
we usually try when a new series starts because they sometimes do okay and people try stuff out. So we'll get like a couple or 3 copies for the rack and then no one cares and we just stop.
Well, we've stopped trying, I think, for the last 2 series.
Yeah, I mean, the last King of All Monsters, I think, was the most recent series, and that just ended at 25.
Yeah.
So we would have tried like 2 years ago.
But also there was the Cullen Bunn one in the interim. Cataclysm.
Yeah, Cataclysm. I think
we didn't do that.
Yeah, I think we would have skipped that one.
Yeah. But there was a young woman in who was looking for Godzilla in Hell. I'm like, oh, you James Ticko fan? She's like, no. Do you just like Godzilla? Yeah. We're not used to you around here.
We have these collections. Do you need those? Godzilla Awakening, Half Century War, hardcover just came out.
So yeah, there's a lot of books we're out of. You'll have to to pay attention to.
I will pay attention.
Yeah, you better.
Just this Sunday though, not ever again.
Do you hear that? It's so weird. It sounds like the air's coming on, but you turned it off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what that noise is.
Probably someone else's air conditioner.
Probably a car crashing through a comic store.
Could be all that carnage.
That's true. Are you definitely hitting the car and carnage? Is that part of your wordplay?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of, like, carnage usually says to me, like, a like, wide area of damage and violence. You know what I mean? So, like, carnage would be, like, a plane crashes, or...
Carnage,
like,
to me,
a building explodes.
Specifically implies dismembered bodies.
Yeah, which, again, like, if a car crashed into the store, and again, I think I mentioned there would be a lot of torsos around, like, that would be a thing.
Yeah. Like,
dismembered bodies.
Yeah. But they have to be, like, they can't just be, they all had concussions. No, they have to be eviscerated.
Yeah.
They have to be torn apart.
They have to be segmented in some way.
Did you hear about Tom Brevoort's Tumblr answer?
Oh, his Formspring stuff?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about this one, but, I mean, there's...
Specifically...
a dozen stories you could tell that start with, so on Tom Brevoort's Formspring, ellipsis...
with all of the Marvel hip-hop album cover references.
Yeah, I think those are neat.
somebody had said, don't you think it's a little bit wrong of Marvel to do that when they don't have the diversity in their talent pool based off of the diversity of what hip-hop meant? And his answer was, what does one have to do with the other? And people went after him for that.
Interesting.
And he basically had a much longer answer saying that Marvel has a lot of, like, they're kind of leading the charge with diversity in characters. And basically the question was, you're doing all these covers based off of black people's contribution to
black culture,
to entertainment society. You're not letting any
black
people
without having black writer artists
do these books.
Yeah, I can see people's point, and if that's an issue that you feel strongly about, certainly seeing Marvel take a blasé attitude towards it is maybe insulting. For me, I would sort of see it from Marvel's perspective, which is that in general, I think they are becoming a more diverse, progressive company. I think in the world we live in, we're not at the point where anybody has nailed that yet. I don't think anything's nearly as perfect as it could be, or as progressive or as diverse as it could be. But I think you could definitely look at Marvel and say they are getting better at it. And I feel like, from my money, that's laudable. And that's something that, could they do better? Sure. Are they doing better? Yes.
What else you got from the week, Dal Bush?
Me? I don't think nothing. What happened? What happened this week?
We sold comics.
Oh, okay. That was pretty cool of us.
Yeah.
I like comic books.
You didn't talk to me for half a day?
Was it only half a day?
No, actually it was much, much longer. It was close to being a full day.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Who said communication was the key to running a successful business? Not us. Not challengers.
What you don't realize, faithful listener, is that we are actually recording this in two separate rooms. And each of our comments is transcribed by an intern who has to go to the other person's office to get a reaction. The amount of editing that happened in this very episode, I'm talking here, see, things like that are very hard to transcribe.
The bit that I was really excited about was the fact that all of Patrick's portion of this podcast was recorded first, and I would just respond to it. So more than ever, I'm just waiting for him to stop talking.
You got your wish.
Yay.
I always feel like this is the point where, at the point where I have to say, do you have anything? I think we should just end it. But sometimes some really good stuff comes out of that.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, honestly, I didn't really prepare anything. I was literally going to do something else when you said, like, we should record.
Yeah, but there's a pay-per-view tomorrow, so...
No, I figured it was going to be Saturday night, but I just didn't figure it was going to be right at that moment. So I did... Unlike last episode where I
stood at your door for an hour until you opened it.
What's happening? I guess, yes, we'll talk about.
I mean, it was pushed late last week because we had to wait till Sunday because of San Diego.
Sure.
I would have preferred to do this earlier, but order pack takes up too much of my time. And honestly, I always plan to start the order pack like a week earlier, just so I don't have to rush it. Because even though we have till Thursday. You
don't have until Thursday.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
Normally we have until Thursday, but we've got, you and I have a business meeting after work Tuesday. We have a signing on Wednesday. We don't know how that's going to affect after we close or what have you.
Correct.
And Thursday we're going to see Mac and Con.
Right.
So there's not that normal extra couple of days to do this.
Which, I mean, in fairness, it's not like the Thursday thing would have necessarily, I feel like by Wednesday... we're pretty well locked in on the order pack.
I usually want to have...
Even if you have to do it Wednesday night.
I usually want to have the order pack done before the new previews comes out so I can look at it and not have to worry about I haven't finished the previous one.
Not be stressing when you look at it.
And while I'm not
anxious.
I think I'll get it done before Tuesday at this point in the weekend.
I think so. I mean, you'll probably have to work on it Sunday night, but I think you'll get it
Monday night for sure.
Yeah.
But also, I always put it to the point where... like today, yesterday I worked an 8-hour day, came home, worked a couple hours at night. Today, same thing. Worked all day, came home, immediately started working on stuff. And at the same time, like Parker's picks are coming in later.
Oh man.
So there's a rush to get those done. I usually like to have
What if
ideally I wanted someone in the can.
What if you skipped a week with Parker's pick and then just like instead of being the day before it's due, now it's 8 days before it's due. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't necessarily tell them.
No, honestly, with the number of fill-ins, because actually, not the one that I'm editing now, but the next one they record, that is the 3rd anniversary episode.
Okay.
And I think I've done 4 episodes. I've done 3 or 4.
When will Parker's pick end? Is it when his voice changes?
I don't know.
I think that'd be a good episode. Like the one where like, hi, this is Parker. You know, like that would be the one where it's
I
like,
reckon I know it. Well, you know, we did make a.
Hey, this is Parker. I just want to say that I'm really excited about a new issue of Sonic. It's really good. Yeah, I'm loving it.
That's really good, Luke Carl. Your Luke Carl's getting better.
I love it. Doing the voice of Reverend Luke Carl is one of my favorite things. Honest to God, we had dear listener. I don't know if you're familiar with the Hair Nation station on Sirius XM. 39? Do you know what number it is?
Yeah, let's go with 39.
Let's say 39. Hair Nation, look for it on your dial. One of the things that I had the most fun spitballing with, despite winning an Eisner with Patrick for Challengers, I think the creation that I was the most excited about was when we invented this really weird backstory for Reverend Luke Carl about him having the voice of like gin and cigarettes, you know, guy in his 40s who's a hair metal fan for years. Like, we flipped it and went, like, what if he's just got, like, this really crazy, gravelly voice, but he's, like, 18 years old, and, like, he doesn't know anything about hair metal.
He's just discovering these bands for the first time, so they're all new to him.
So instead of, like, a guy who's, like, yeah, I remember seeing Slaughter in the 80s, like, he's just like,
Yeah, I was digging through the catalog, and I found out this band that no one ever heard of before called LA Guns, and we're going to play them next.
you know, like...
They're going to blow your mind. It's going to change your outlook on life. You're never going to have heard it before, and it's going to make you look at everything different. Yeah, there's this band, S Laughter. I loved them. They're really cool. You're going to check them out. We got them coming up.
I'm sorry, did you say ass laughter?
S Laughter. That's his
slaughter. Right. And it was so ridiculous because it was literally like a How I Met Your Mother bit where it was just a round, like back and forth,
It
back
just
and
kept
forth.
going.
As
we were talking about the Reverend Luke Carl just being completely oblivious to the history of the music that he's hosting a channel on.
There are so few times in life where you just have this look of pure joy on your face.
It was so fun.
That was one of them.
Because it just kept going down this rabbit hole, and it kept getting more absurd, and I loved it.
And even though this particular topic may not seem like it has anything to do with the comics, this is the point where, because we kept going, I thought of something else.
Yay! I knew if we talked long enough.
Because you had said, and we won an Eisner together.
We did. We won an Eisner.
After 2 years.
2 years.
2 years, man, of research and effort and, I'll outright say it, detective work. I was able to get an answer to a question I've been looking for 2 years.
Yeah, I would go ahead and say this wasn't so much like, archaeology or investigation so much as divination. Like, I don't know how you did it beyond, like, basically,
I feel like it's a lot of archaeology.
Eldritch forces, Doctor Strange style. Like, you just cross-legged and levitated for, like, hours, and then, like, from the astral plane, this answer came to you.
It was actually tea leaves, but, you get the idea.
Whichever. That's a different thing.
2 years ago, and honestly, you think I would remember the date, but I don't. Maybe, like, July 23rd? I don't know, because San Diego bounces a lot, week to week, year to year.
It's different points in July depending on a lot of variables.
2 years ago, we won the Eisner, the Will Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award, and due to personal circumstances, we weren't able to be in San Diego to accept it.
Correct.
We also didn't know we were winning.
Yes.
And they fooled us into thinking we were winning the year before, and we almost dropped everything and flew out there, but we wound up not, and that's a good thing. But anyway, you and I weren't there. In fact, we were in separate rooms. I was looking at a Twitter feed.
No. That was the year before. The year we won, we were doing a live episode.
Oh, right. Okay, we were. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So we were sitting there and we were reading someone's Twitter feed, and then you refreshed, and it was like middle of saying something else. It's like, oh, and we won the Eisner. What just happened?
Okay. Patrick Brower, congratulations on your
Congratulations.
Spirit of Retailing Award.
Eisner Award, Speed of Retailing goes to Challengers. Well done, guys. And the first person to congratulate us was Scotty Young.
That was nice of Scotty.
So we weren't there. Actually, Challenger was there. And we were in immediate communication with her after she accepted it. And I had said, what did you say? Because she doesn't like public speaking.
Yeah.
And she'd asked me ahead of time.
Not even public speaking, just like being looked at by that many people would be a thing that she would rather not do.
And she'd asked me ahead of time, what should I say if we win? And I'm like, well, I don't want to jinx or anything, but just say it from the heart. Mm-hmm. What would you say? So I asked her, I'm like, what did you say? And she said, I have no idea. I don't remember.
Yeah. And we know people who were there, and we couldn't get an answer from anybody about what she actually said.
Years past, you've been able to find on YouTube, people would put up the Eisner Awards, not the whole ceremony, but clips. And I've seen the retailer presentation multiple times through the years via YouTube clips. Mm-hmm. And even that year, the 2013 Eisners, there were different segments of the show up, specifically John Barrowman kissing all the dudes.
Of course.
Jonathan Ross specifically, and then Neil Gaiman was there. But nobody put up the retailer one. And honestly, it's such a, I guess, not boring part of the evening, but overlooked part that even a lot of webpage recaps don't mention that aspect.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, it's lumped in with like Hall of Fame and some of the other like non-open voting things. Like Hall of Fame, you can vote for some stuff, and some stuff they just let in. But there's definitely like a series of awards that are kind of like the Academy Awards, technical award stuff, where it's like these people won, but you don't care about that. And Retailer is definitely the one where you don't care about that.
I even went so far as to contact the San Diego Comic-Con themselves and say, hey, look, I'm sure you guys film it. Can we see it? And they basically said, look, when the orchestra plays, we don't have the license for the music that they play. So we can't give out the video because we're not paying for that music. And I said, I get it. I don't want to put this clip out on the internet. I just want to see it.
Yeah, it would be nice for our own edification.
And they made it sound like they might not even have it. They're not sure. Which, if you recall, mere minutes ago, I talked about how often I've seen these clips on YouTube, so people put that stuff up there.
Sure.
I found it. I got it.
You did it.
Not only did I find it, I didn't find the video. I found audio. I found audio of the whole show.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we have a picture of her accepting the award, so at least we can, like, with that in the audio, we can get a good idea of what happened.
Yeah. Thanks to Megan Bird, we have a great picture.
Yeah.
But I have audio for the whole show, and it's kind of, anyway, here it is.
And the recipient of the 2013 Will Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award, Challengers Comics and Conversation.
We've had now for 5 years now, and I'm really nervous. They're really honored for this, so thank you, everyone. This means a lot, so thanks.
So that was the edited version.
Uh-huh.
There is, in fact, a much longer bit where Thomas Lennon and somebody else did a video skit of them as Avengers leading into this, where they name all of the stores, and then Joe Ferrara comes out to announce it, and then he names all the stores again. Mm-hmm. And the bit you heard was the announcement and Ashley's acceptance immediately, but what I cut out was Joe reads our name, and the band starts playing, and there's a pause, and Joe says, I was told that someone would be here to go, oh no, here they come, keep playing, guys. Because Ashley was, at that point, the nominees are not, if it's the Golden Globes, she was in the balcony. Mm-hmm. She's not on the ceremony floor, she's in the crowd in the back with the general public.
Right.
She's not at a dinner table, she's in a row of chairs in the back because that's just the way it's done. So it took her so long to get up to the stage. And
Mostly because I think for at least 4 seconds, in her mind that had stretched out to 4 hours as she started to realize you are going to have to go up there under those lights in front of those people, accept that award, and say something with everybody listening to you.
And since Dal had said 4 seconds, since you just heard it, it was 4 seconds.
Yeah. But in her mind, that was probably like several lifetimes. Just...
So I told her today that I found it.
Waking nightmare.
I told her, she's like, oh God. I'm like, don't worry, I'm not going to play it for you. She goes, good, I never want to hear it.
We can't play it in the store. It's like 2 minutes of F-bombs before she actually says something about the store.
So at the very end of this, after the JVO bumper at the end, I will drop the full. It's like a 5-minute segment overall.
Sure.
But it's visual, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because of the skit they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 2 years in the making.
Finally.
There it is.
Finally.
You got your wish again.
Hooray.
Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 North Western Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago, 773-278-0155. You can visit Challengers on the web at challengerscomics.com. You can direct email to challengers@challengerscomics.com. You can become a fan on Facebook at facebook.com/challengerscomics. And you can follow Challengers on Twitter at twitter.com/GoChallengersGo.
Jarvis, mask up. Thank you, Jarvis. It's I, Iron Man, here with my fellow Avenger, Tony Stark. You're Tony Stark. Steve. Captain America. Thank you for having us, people of Earth. With my new shield of rock. Well, technically, we're of Earth, too. Now that I think of it. We're all from Earth. Hello, people. The great thing that we have in common. We'll miss fighting Hulk. Ooh, look at him. One day. And we're here between that to tell you the great nominees for Retailer of the Year. Starting with Acme Comics from Greensboro, North Carolina.
the finalists for this year's award in alphabetical order. All-Star Comics, Melbourne, Australia. Alternate Reality, Las Vegas, Nevada. Challengers Comics and Conversations, Chicago, Illinois. Collector's Corner, Baltimore, Maryland. Green Brain Comics in Dearborn, Michigan. Heroes for Sale, Auckland, New Zealand. And Legend Comics and Coffee, Omaha, Nebraska. And the recipient of the 2013 Will Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award, Challengers Comics and Conversations. They told me someone would be here. Oh, here we go. They're coming. They're just coming from a distance. She's playing the music.
They're really honored for this, so thank you, everyone. This means a lot. So, thanks.
Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Baby Tattoo. On behalf of retailers around the globe, let me again say, keep making the comics we love, and we'll keep selling them for you. Thank you.